remember in a summer program when I was in 8th grade, I joined this summer program, and they did an exercise, and they were like, there's 6 of you in a plane, and there's 1 parachute, and the plane's going down. Who gets the parachute? I was the only one in the entire summer camp that was like, I want the parachute. Everyone else, when the teacher would like ask, like, all right, so how did the discussion go? They'd be like, okay, we all thought about it. We thought of our attributes. We gave it to her because she was the only woman in the group. We gave it to this person because they were handicapped. And they got to argue with, like, so who's getting a parachute? They're like, Eddie said he was the youngest and that the youngest should get a parachute. And
but bottom line is you wanted it.
I wanted a parachute. Yeah. And the teacher was like, that's halfway the right answer.
Yeah.
Half of the answer is wanting the parachute. They're like, the second part of the answer is you should, if you are a leader or whatever, well, as a human being, you should want the parachute because you think you can do the most for this world. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, I really do think that. There are a lot of things, like I work really hard and I'm very genuine and I'm not a faker. And I was like, I don't apologize for shit because I know why I'm doing it and I think I'm doing it for a good reason. It. And yeah, so I don't feel bad. And I think that everybody should feel that way. And if you don't feel that way, you should come up with like a reason why you're living and why you're doing shit so that you feel entitled to the parachute.
Absolutely.
You know, you have a voice, and I think as a writer and as a human being, the most important thing is to have a voice. You know, and you could catch up on the other shit. But what I did was I never outlined a chapter. I did outline the book. And I was like, what is the heart of the book? What is the core of the book? And I said to myself, the core of the book is rejecting, it's 3 phases. Number 1, identifying the box that society wants to put you into. Whatever society you're in. You could be in China, Taiwan, America, but there's a box that society wants to put you into. And my journey was identifying that box at a young age, rejecting that box, then creating almost like an identity that was just a reaction to the box, falling all the way down and crashing and realizing that everything I was doing was not actually who I was, but a reaction. Then purging my mind and purging myself of anything that was a parasite on my identity and rebuilding it from the ground up about who I wanted to be. And is a very Harry Potter thing because in Harry Potter, in the first book, Harry's like, I don't want to go to like the bad school where the snake kids are. I want to be in like Gryffindor, right? And he's like, what if they choose me for the snake school? But the dude tells him like, yo, Harry, like you have a choice. If you want to go to Gryffindor, the hat will pick you to go to Gryffindor.
Right.
And like, no lie, like watching that shit, I almost cry watching fucking Harry Potter. Because I'm like, this right, motherfucker, you got a choice. You got a fucking, but you white, of course you got a choice. Do you know what I mean? But like, I remember watching and being hyped, like, yo, you have a choice in your life. Do you know what I mean? And so like, this book is very much about realizing you have a choice. That like skin and your eyes and your environment and your parents don't determine who they are unless you allow them to. So my process for the book, I wrote the book entirely in my chair at home. Like I never wrote a word anywhere else but in my chair at home. And I sat in that chair all day. And what I would do is you wake up and I remember this creative writing teacher in college told me once, you're most productive when you first wake up in the morning and when you're going to sleep at night. He's like, because your kind of defenses are off and you're not thinking and you're unfiltered. And a lot of my writing I do at those times. But when I was writing, I would pick one song, like whatever song it was, I wake up in the morning and for some weird reason, my brain always has like one song it wants to listen to. Like some days it's so bad, it's like, I want to listen to Sean Kingston's Suicide. Play that shit. You know,
oh God, that's
it's bad. It's dark. It's a dark day. It's a dark day. I never had like structure to every chapter. All I had were the stories I knew that exemplified it. And then I think the spirit of the book is very much that I write the way that I talk. So I'm more of a storyteller than like a technical writer. And I was just like, what is the illest way to tell these stories? And boom, boom, boom. And so each chapter is a collection of stories that exemplify an idea. And that's it. In Asian Club, they would always invite me to join because I was loud and I was out there. And at Pittsburgh, it was cool. The people were cool. The dude that was actually wanting me to be on the board with him is now Wiz's DJ. He was the one in the book that was like, yo, you should join the board. You wrote that ill article about Chinese New Year in a school paper. And I was like, no, I feel like I lose a lot of my power if I join an organization. I don't want to join an organization. I speak on my own. And because I would join these Asian groups and they would always kind of be focusing on, all right guys, let's plan a ski trip. And I was like, what? You got a lot more problems than come up with money for a ski trip. Do you know what I mean? Like, what if we weren't even allowed at ski resorts? Do you know what I mean? So I was always telling, like, we need to do cultural programming. We need to like talk about amongst ourselves in the community, like, what is it to be Asian in America? What are the issues that we face? Like, how do we communicate our culture to other people? And they didn't really get it.
Yeah.
And they were always like trying to do networking events or like occupational events. And I really
like
thought
better
that,
ways to assimilate into the
yes, better ways
How
to just
can we
like
be better
Yeah.
at being less
Yeah.
noticeable?
Yeah, how can I get like the best position behind the modern Great Wall, which is the cubicle, you know? And so that's what they were focused on. And so I joined, you know, the Black Student Union,
Yeah.
and I would join like the Minority Law Students Association. And when I would talk amongst like blacks and Latinos and things like that, they would always they would ride with me. But I will say this, in New York, since I've been here, a lot of the organizations I've been like privileged to like be a part of and go sit on, like, I love, not just saying it, like, I wouldn't be on the board if I didn't fuck with this organization.
Right.
You know, I think it's very forward thinking. You know, we do the events with like Ego Trip and Das Racist and you know, Maxine Hong Kingston, you know, like,
True,
that's a
like,
movement.
Yeah.
Like
True leaders,
real
yeah.
real leaders, real
Yeah.
pioneers. Like, you're thinking big. You're not thinking about like the self. You know,
Right.
the jobs and the networking is very much like the self. We already got that. I think we need to think about like how we expand our influence in this country. And it's not like in a takeover way, but just to be like, look, I just want to be understood here. And I think it's coming around. I think it's good. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you, Minya.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, AAWW. Thank you, Chambers Fine Arts. The Drama King is in the building. The Drama King is in the building.